So presumably we will, if everything goes to plan, if they can start playing again at some point, early May, mid-May, whenever it is, a lot of leagues will have to make a decision, because I think it's very optimistic to think that they can cram in all the fixtures.
Yeah, I agree. So what would you do now? There's obviously a few options of what you could do. We saw Karen Brady, for example.
Yeah, that's not a good option.
That's not a good option, but one of the options is to void the season. Let me give you the options. So that's one. And you say, listen, we can't finish the season, so the season is...
You void the season, no promotion, no relegation.
No promotion, no relegation.
Yeah.
And you just go back next season in the same format as it was this season, so same teams in the Champions League.
This is if it never happened, yeah.
Okay. Second one is you, for example, take the teams at the winter break, for example, or for England at the turn of the year, and that table is the table for the season, because you haven't finished it, so you take it. So, for example, it's one of the options that Spain seem to be thinking of.
At the halfway mark.
At the halfway mark of the season. The third one is this is it, we've played 75% of the games, and we're going to take it from here. We don't play the remaining 10 league fixtures, and this is the table for us, and this is the champion, this is the team that qualify, this is who go down, and then who goes up from the second division, or you find a way. Do you see any other options, and what do you make of those three? So, and obviously there's the one where you can manage to play the remaining games.
Right. Well, I think that there's a fifth one, which is probably the most realistic one. I'm going to get through why those first three options that you mentioned, I think, should only be considered if we can play no more football at all, if the epidemic doesn't allow us to.
Yeah.
There's a financial imperative here. Clubs obviously lose money when they don't play. Mm-hmm. If it's safe to play, there's no reason that they shouldn't be playing, especially since UEFA have moved the Euro and created, effectively they've magicked up another 6 weeks of time, window, right? Yeah. So you have to play in that period, I think. And by the way, in terms of the losses that clubs are making, let's be very clear on this. The only money that clubs are losing right now is if games get cancelled, they lose gates. People are creating all sorts of scare stories. Javier Tebas, in particular, in Spain, talking about, but we're going to lose TV revenue, we're going to lose sponsorship. You don't know that. You really don't. Because, broadcasters can take legal action, sponsors can take legal action, but I double dare a sponsor to say, we're going to go and take legal action against you and cut your payments because of this circumstance way beyond your control.
Yeah.
Not to mention that it's governed by contracts, and it depends how the contracts are written in terms of, because this is obviously an act of God. It's force majeure here that we're dealing with, right? So I think those things are very overblown, and I think a lot of those estimates are extremely self-serving. But the attitude is cross that bridge when you get to it.
Definitely.
So if you can play, but we know that you lose gate receipts.
Yeah.
Those vary from country to country. In the Premier League, I think it's an estimated, were they not to play another single game, it's an estimated 175 million euros spread across the 20 clubs. So it's not insubstantial. It's not enormous. It obviously impacts lower division clubs more because they rely on gate receipts more. So I think it's important to continue playing.
Yeah. But what if you can't play? What if you're not allowed to?
All right. If you can't play, I think we're choosing the least bad option. If you can't play, what I think leagues are going to do is they're going to take the table as it stands. Yeah. I think ideally I would get some sort of mathematical nerd to come out and run some kind of analysis based on strength of schedule, based on the fact that some teams have played more games and have games in hand.
Yeah.
And do an adjusted league table, use that to distribute the money.
In cricket when the rain...
The Duckworth-Lewis method.
Exactly, the DL method. So something similar to that, right?
Yeah, I don't know that people are going to do it because fans aren't going to understand it. I would still definitely assign the title because, and again, after you run that analysis, but you would assign it. And if you want to assign it with an asterisk, assign it with an asterisk. Obviously, it seems crazy in England where Liverpool have a 25-point lead, but that's not the case in every league.
Yeah.
I wouldn't relegate anybody. And if it means that you have to take promoted teams and make the league bigger for 1 year. It's not ideal, but that may be what has to happen. I think it's going to be a case-by-case situation in every country. But I think likely in most countries we will be able to play some games. And I think what you want to do is make those games meaningful and provide some sort of closure.
Yeah.
I think one obvious solution would be just simply to split the league up by positions into different groups. They already do this in Belgium.
Yeah.
Where, depending on the number of games you play, it's the size of your little mini league. You carry over points or some proportion of points. And in Belgium, what they do is after the regular season, they, however many points you have, they split those points into two. So you get half those points.
Yeah.
And you play the games that you're supposed to play, that the schedule allows you to play. And that helps determine the final standings. You could do it if you don't play the FA Cup. Obviously, you'd have another Europa League spot. Maybe you take the top six. Maybe you take a middle six to deal with to competing for that final Europa League spot, and maybe the rest to avoid relegation.
Yeah, you can find a way for sure.
There are ways to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
The key thing that must guide you is obviously it has to be fair. You can't ignore what happened before, and it has to be something that people understand, and the games have to be meaningful. Yeah. And if you do that, you can hopefully address some of these issues. I think that would be the ideal solution if you can't play out all the fixtures.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.